in a quiet suburb of Louisiana, where ancient oaks spread their branches over narrow streets and the air carried the scent of damp moss and distant ocean, lived an ordinary family named Woods. Peter Woods, a sturdy middle-aged man with calloused hands, worked as an engineer on an oil platform in the Gulf of Mexico. The job was demanding long shifts at sea where storms could turn everything upside down, but it paid well, allowing the family a comfortable life. His wife Margaret, a woman with a gentle voice and a firm gaze, taught math at the local high school. She loved routine, brewing coffee each morning, packing lunch boxes, and reminding her sons about homework. The older son, Liu, was a 16-year-old teen, calm, responsible. With short hair and thin-rimmed glasses, he dreamed of college, studying engineering like his father, and always looked out for his younger brother. The younger one, Jeffrey, or just Jeff, as everyone called him, was a 13-year-old rascal with long chestnut hair swept back, and a mischievous smile that could charm any teacher. Jeff loved superhero comics, spent hours playing video games on his old console in his room, and fantasized about becoming a rock star, guitar in hand with crowds of fans at the stage. Life in this small town flowed steadily. School buses honked at gates in the mornings, neighbors gathered for barbecues in the evenings, and nights brought only the rustle of leaves and occasional dog barks. But everything changed when Peter got a long-awaited promotion. The company offered him a senior engineer position with a move to a more upscale area, an elite suburb on the edge of a big city, where houses stood behind white picket fences. Lawns were perfectly manicured, and streets were lit by Victorian-style lamps. Margaret announced it at dinner while unpacking boxes of dishes. Liu nodded, as he always agreed with his parents, but Jeff frowned. He didn't want to leave his old friends, the ones he raced bikes with on muddy paths, shared secrets in an abandoned shed, and had flashlight sleepovers with. The move happened quickly. A truck hauled away the furniture, and the family drove off into the unknown. The new house was spacious 2 stories, with a garage and a backyard where they could plant flowers or even install a pool. But to Jeff, it felt like a prison. Neighbors smiled falsely, like in toothpaste ads, and kids at school looked down on him. The first day at the new school was a real challenge. Jeff sat at his desk in class, staring out the window at neat rows of cars in the parking lot. The teacher, Miss Harris, a woman with doll-like hair, introduced him. Laughter came softly from the back rows. 3 boys, Randy, Keith, and Troy, exchanged glances. Randy, the leader of the group, had short hair, a gold chain around his neck, and a smug grin. He was the son of a local businessman. Keith, skinny with a tattoo on his arm, and Troy, stocky and athletic, followed him like shadows. Randy whispered loud enough for Jeff to hear. After classes, Jeff walked home, his shoulder aching from the heavy backpack. Suddenly, he was pushed from behind. Randy snatched the bag. Jeff didn't fight back. He wasn't a fighter, preferring to avoid conflicts. The group rummaged through his things. Batman comics flew into the mud, notebooks were torn. Keith laughed. They left, leaving Jeff to pick up the pieces. At home, Liu noticed the bruise on his brother's cheek. Jeff shrugged, but inside, something stirred, a tiny spark of anger that simmered and grew. Weeks dragged on slowly. Bullying became routine. Notes in his locker with insults, shelves in the hallway, whispers behind his back during lessons. Troy hissed in the cafeteria. Jeff began to change. He became withdrawn, smiled less often, spent hours in his room sketching dark pictures, monsters with sharp teeth, empty eyes, and bloody grins. Margaret noticed. Jeff brushed it off, but at night, he lay awake, imagining standing up to Randy, seeing fear in his eyes. These were the first seeds of turmoil sprouting in his soul. One day, neighbors threw a birthday party for their son Billy, an 8-year-old boy with freckles and a love for pirates. Backyard barbecue, balloons, music from speakers, tables with hot dogs and lemonade. The Woods family was invited to fit into the community. Margaret insisted. Jeff put on his favorite white hoodie and black jeans, trying to look cool. We went with him, always watchful. The party was fun. Kids ran around. Adults chatted about weather and taxes. Jeff even relaxed, playing tag with the younger ones. But then they showed up: Randy, Keith, and Troy. They sneaked in uninvited, with backpacks full of fireworks and, as it turned out later, pocket knives. Randy grinned, starting to tease the little kids, taking gifts, pushing them into the dirt. When it came to Jeff, Randy kicked him in the back. Something snapped inside Jeff. The anger that had built up for weeks burst out. He jumped up, eyes flashing with fury, and punched Randy in the nose. Blood sprayed, cartilage crunched. Keith and Troy lunged, but Jeff fought like a trapped animal, bites, scratches, elbow strikes. He broke Keith's arm, hearing the bone snap, knocked Troy to the ground, and hit his ribs. Adults rushed in, breaking up the chaos. Billy's mother screamed. Police arrived quickly, sirens cutting through the evening air. Jeff stood, breathing heavily, hands bloody. Liu stepped forward. He was arrested, taken away in handcuffs, while Jeff went home feeling like a hero in his own eyes. But that night, he couldn't sleep. Adrenaline pulsed in his veins, and he felt alive, as if he had truly awakened for the first time. Revenge didn't wait long. The next day after school, Randy and his group ambushed Jeff and Liu, who had been released on bail, at the bus stop. Randy pulled out a knife, gleaming in the sunlight. The fight erupted instantly. Troy grabbed Liu's arms. Keith hit Jeff in the stomach, but Jeff dodged, snatched the knife from Randy, and slashed Troy's arm. Blood gushed onto the asphalt. A cry of pain echoed down the street. Randy kneed Jeff, who fell, but Liu broke free and tackled the attackers. Chaos. Fists, blood, curses. Neighbors called the police. Sirens approached. The group fled, leaving blood trails. Officers arrested everyone but released Jeff and Liu after questioning. At home, the parents lectured. Margaret cried, tears in her eyes. Peter was silent, but his look was heavy. Jeff sat in his room, staring at the dried blood on his hands. That night, he dreamed. Standing before a mirror, face scarred, smile stretched from ear to ear, eyes empty. A month passed. Liu returned to normal life, but the family was tense. Jeff became paranoid. It seemed everyone stared at him judgmentally, whispered behind his back. He dyed his hair black to change, and wore only white clothes, a hoodie and pants, as if wanting to blend with the ghost. At school, the bullies lay low, but hatred boiled. One night, when the parents were on late shifts, Peter sometimes worked overtime. Margaret prepared lessons. Randy, Keith, and Troy decided to finish it. They broke the back door, sneaked quietly into the house. Randy whispered. They found Jeff in the bathroom, washing his face with cold water, trying to rinse away insomnia. The group attacked. They doused him with bleach from a bottle, burning his skin like acid. Jeff screamed, writhing on the tile. Randy lit a lighter and set him ablaze. Flames flared, consuming hair, skin, clothes. The smell of burned flesh filled the room. Jeff rolled on the floor, trying to extinguish the fire, screams echoing through the house. Liu woke from the noise, burst into the bathroom, and saw the horror. His brother in flames, the group laughing. He grabbed a fire extinguisher from the hallway and put out the fire with white foam. The bullies fled through the window, shattering glass. Jeff lay unconscious, body burned. An ambulance arrived, taking him to the hospital. Doctors fought for his life. Third-degree burns, skin charred, hair burned off. The doctor told the parents. Margaret sobbed in the hallway. Peter smoked cigarette after cigarette. Liu sat silently, blaming himself for not protecting him. Jeff lay in a coma for 2 weeks, then came to. His face was disfigured, skin white as chalk from the bleach, lips burned, exposing teeth in an eternal grin. Eyelids swollen. Doctors bandaged him, injected painkillers. When they finally removed the bandages, a nurse handed a mirror. The parents stood nearby, holding their breath. Jeff looked at his reflection. White face, black hair, what remained, empty eyes, gruesome smile. Instead of horror, he smiled wider. He whispered hoarsely. Margaret cried. Peter turned away. The nurse, shocked, called the doctor, and Jeff laughed, a mad, cracked laugh echoing through the ward. That night, when everyone slept, Jeff didn't. Pain throbbed, but it was pleasant, like a reminder of strength. He took scissors from the nightstand, the nurse left them for bandages, and went to the mirror in the toilet. With a trembling hand, he cut his cheeks from ear to ear, widening the smile. Blood flowed in streams down the white skin, dripping on the floor. The pain was ecstasy. He felt like a god creating a new body. Then he cauterized his eyelids with a lighter he had hidden in his pocket, so he could never close his eyes, always see the beauty. The scream of pain woke the staff, but Jeff had already escaped through the window into the night, barefoot on cold grass. He returned home at dawn. The house was quiet, parents asleep, Liu in his room. Jeff stood in the doorway. His face was pale, his gaze empty and uneasy. He whispered something so quietly that the words dissolved into the darkness. It all began at night. The house was asleep, and no one could say when the familiar order of things collapsed. The parents never woke up, morning never came for them. A faint sound stirred Liu from his sleep. He stepped into the hallway and stopped, a sense of dread settling in his chest. In the dim light he saw Jeff, too calm, too distant, like a stranger. Liu whispered his brother's name. Jeff slowly turned in response and smiled, an odd, unsettling smile. Liu took a step back, but the darkness seemed to close in around him. The last thing he felt was a sharp pain and the cold floor beneath his back. On the bathroom mirror, he wrote in blood, "Go to sleep." Then he vanished into the night, into shadows, becoming a ghost. Police found the bodies in the morning. House in blood, signs of struggle, but no clues. The case became a sensation: family murder in the suburb. Newspapers blared headlines. But Jeff was already far away. He wandered the streets, hiding in abandoned buildings, hunting those who didn't sleep at night. First victim, a homeless man in an alley who saw the white face and heard the whisper, "Go to sleep." The knife flashed, and the body slumped. Then a night guard at a warehouse, then a young couple in a car. Each killing left a signature. Blood writing, eternal smile on the victim's face. The legend was born quickly. In 2008, on the Something Awful forum, user Cesar posted before and after photos, supposedly real shots of Jeff, photoshopped from a victim's acid attack photo. The story spread across the internet. Creepypasta wiki, YouTube, 4chan. People added details: white hoodie stained with blood, black jeans. Supernatural strength from the burns, whisper go to sleep before the strike. Jeff became an icon of horror. Fans drew art, wrote fanfics where he fought other monsters, fell in love, or avenged the world. But in reality, the legend inspired darkness teen disappearances. Strange murders with similar handwriting. Jeff continued to wander. In one city, he hid in an abandoned house where he overheard teens talking about him. At night, he came. Shadow in the window, whisper, knife. The surviving boy told police. Black eyes, huge smile. He said go to sleep and attacked. Searches led nowhere. Jeff became a myth, a warning about how bullying breaks the soul, turning the victim into a monster. He roams the world, from suburb to suburb, from night to night. If you hear footsteps in the dark, close your eyes. It might be the wind, or it might be Jeff coming to wish good night.